going on with Stephen?
I hate Blake.
I'm going home.
Oh, good. You can give me a lift. I'm in a hurry.
Oh, right! Oh! It's as much my fault as Stephen's.
Stephen? Stephen who?
Thanks.
I want Stephen Crane's head, Jimmy, on a plate.
Crane's no victim. Chancer tomorrow.
I'm sorry, mate. The reception's off. The best man's run off with me lovely bride, Shirley. And some joker's stolen the Castlemaine Forex. It's okay, we found the Forex!
What about the best man?
Oh, that's fine. He rang up from the motel and apologised.
Australians wouldn't give a Castlemaine Forex for anything else.
When you're ironing, does something remind you of the last time the shirt was worn?
Well, you can tell Mum you've been a great help.
And you can tell her about that shirt.
That's where new Radiant Automatic goes into action. Not only does it tackle all kinds of dirt effectively, it also removes stale odours most detergents leave behind.
Now I know it's clean.
New Radiant removes dirt and odours.
As Larder dealers, we've got together to bring you an amazing drive-away deal. For only £3,333, drive away this superb 1300 Riva Select. Or for just £4,444, this stylish Samara 1300 Select.
And that's on the road.
It's an unrepeatable offer from every Larder dealer. So call in today or you'll miss out.
Thames Television has a proud tradition of factual programmes. The definitive series on the world at war. The history of the early years of Hollywood, of Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd. Crime Inc., a chilling insight into the world of the mafia. And currently on ITV, Stalin, a disturbing analysis of the Soviet Union's most ruthless dictator. The best in documentaries brought to you by Thames.
The time is 10 o'clock.
Killed, hundreds wounded as South African police open fire. Mr. Lawson says the fight against inflation could be in trouble. Mr. Gorbachev says no force in Lithuania unless lives are threatened. The health minister's heckled over poll tax relief for student nurses. And the floods have gone, but 1,000 are still homeless. Good evening. South African police have shot at least 8 people dead and wounded over 300 in clashes outside Johannesburg. The trouble followed illegal marches in 2 black townships, Sharpeville and Sebokeng, calling for better housing and lower rents. Witnesses said some of the gunfire also came from unmarked cars which drove through the crowds with men in civilian clothes firing at random. This report is from our Southern Africa correspondent, Kevin Dunn.
In the 2 months since free political activity has been permitted in South Africa, the lid has been lifted on the frustrations of the black majority. In the township of Sebokeng today, thousands wanted to protest at council rents and other local grievances, but they were met by lines of riot police and volleys of tear gas. Many, though, refused to disperse, and the police then used birdshot. In the mayhem that followed, scores were hit by police fire. Many victims were carried away by their comrades, others were treated where they fell. The injured flooded the local hospital, where doctors struggled to cope. 6 people were tonight reported to be in a critical condition. The police shooting unleashed running battles throughout the township. Streets were littered with debris and burning barricades. The anger of the youth was vented too on fortified police stations and on local council buildings which were set ablaze. Service stations which tried to deny the demonstrators petrol were also burned and looted. The Minister of Law and Order, who toured the area, claimed police were in control.
Yes, we are in control of the situation, and I would like to assure
the inhabitants of this area, as well as other areas in our country. With the assistance of other security forces, we are in control of the situation.
But tonight, the situation remained volatile in townships which provided the spark for the bloody black uprising of 6 years ago. The upsurge in violence comes at a most delicate moment for South Africa. In 2 weeks' time, the government and Nelson Mandela's African National Congress are due to meet for the first time. The fear is the violence could sabotage the peace process before it's begun. Kevin Dunn, News at 10, Johannesburg.
The former Chancellor, Mr Lawson, warned the government tonight that its whole anti-inflationary policy would be put at risk if it didn't join the European exchange rate mechanism soon. But a few minutes ago in the Commons, the present Chancellor, Mr Major, re-emphasised his determination to squeeze out inflation with high interest rates. He said if they have to rise, they will rise.
Mrs Thatcher has been maintaining business as usual, meeting visitors like the French Prime Minister. The message apparently agreed in a meeting with the party chairman is that the party is calm and united. But the newspapers and polls continue to carry a different and strident story, and the attempts of ministers to alter that have achieved little. In fact, the first such attempt today by Sir Geoffrey Howe sparked more trouble when he seemed in a radio interview to demand that Mr Heseltine pledged his loyalty to Mrs Thatcher. By afternoon, the former Defence Secretary issued a statement saying, as he has before, that he believed Mrs Thatcher would lead the party at the next election and win it. If I am proved right in these forecasts, he said, my colleagues know that no one will strive harder to secure a fourth term of Conservative government. That if didn't help reassure anyone. It wasn't the kind of pledge required by Mrs Thatcher's supporters. Later, Mr Heseltine came under veiled attack from the Employment Secretary, Michael Howard, who warned of those not socialists who were arguing for more government intervention. In the evening, more problems for Mrs Thatcher. Former Chancellor Nigel Lawson, who resigned over membership of Europe's exchange rate mechanism, demanded early entry into the system.
The whole of the government's commitment against inflation is potentially at risk. There is an exposed flank here, and that is why I would favour early entry of sterling, as I say, possibly initially with the wider bands, into the exchange rate mechanism of the EMS.
The present Chancellor, with the Prime Minister in attendance, sounded enthusiastic. Progress was being made.
There should be no doubt that join we will when the conditions my right honourable friend the Prime Minister set out have been met.
Mrs Thatcher approved of that speech, but faces even more problems in the Commons later, with another threatened backbench rebellion over the poll tax. It's been a troubled day. Margaret Thatcher's friends say she's being subjected to a war of nerves by those in the party who wish her to take fright and go. There's no prospect of that, but equally, there's no prospect of an early end to that war of nerves. Peter Allen, News at 10, Westminster.
Lithuania's deputy leader said tonight he was confident the worst of the tension with Moscow was over. Lithuanian officials and Soviet generals spent the day in talks. Mr. Romualdas Ozolas emerged to tell reporters the mood has changed. The United States warned the Soviet Union that action against Lithuania could affect relations. In Moscow, President Gorbachev told Senator Edward Kennedy he would not use force unless lives were threatened.
The Red Army continued to wage its war of nerves in Lithuania today. A military helicopter scattered leaflets over the capital Vilnius, calling for an anti-independence rally tomorrow and warning that nationalists were pushing the republic into an abyss of uncertainty. Soldiers continued to occupy Communist Party buildings, Moscow underlining its claim to ownership with the gun. And tanks continued to stand at the ready at military bases in and around the town. Soviet television showed paratroopers on patrol. Their general said they were looking for illegal border posts. And more weapons surrendered by Lithuanians were displayed. They've been told to hand in their arms by Wednesday. But as Soviet officers left a first round of meetings with Lithuanian leaders, the tension did begin to ease. Lithuania's Deputy Prime Minister Ozolas caused alarm last night by warning of imminent military action. Today he announced a breakthrough. We have passed the most dangerous period, he said. The conflict will be de-escalating. Others agreed.
Today we are more calm because we are accustomed a little to such a pressure. But it seems to me that the general situation is changed for better.
And as Parliament continued to debate the shape of the new independent government, the only soldiers in sight were deserters. young Lithuanians who'd fled their regiment in Leningrad and travelled here for shelter. This evening, President Vytautas Landsbergis again shrugged off Soviet pressure. We're hardened people, he said. We're not going down on our knees again. To underline that determination, armed Lithuanian Interior Ministry troops loyal to the new government were sent to the state television station. An official said they defended against criminals. And Deputy Premier Ozolis was on the air there tonight, attempting to further underline the government's authority. He declared tomorrow's anti-independence rally would be illegal. That statement seems certain to raise tension once again. Moscow won't be happy about a government it doesn't recognize laying down the law on territory it still considers its own. Tim Hewitt, News at 10, Vilnius.
Here, nurses heckled the Health Minister, Mrs. Virginia Bottomley, today over the poll tax. Speakers at the Royal College of Nursing's conference were angry that military recruits get help with the poll tax, but nursing recruits don't. The nurses also complained that cash shortages in the health service meant there were fewer jobs when they finished training.
Mrs. Bottomley was welcomed as the first woman health minister to address the Royal College's largely female membership. They listened to most of her speech in silence, with only the occasional murmur of disapproval. Then it was open to questions from the floor.
Would the Minister please explain why the majority of student nurses have to pay 100% of the poll tax, but trainees in the armed forces, who are on salaries of anything up to £9,500 a year, pay only 20%?
The conference roared its approval. The Minister looked for a way out.
Show me the way to the door. The fact is that the salaried student nurses are exactly like any other salaried member of the health authority.
The RCN president struggled to keep order as Mrs. Bottomley was shouted down.
Get her to answer the questions.
I will. Then a father rose to thank the government who found a nursing job for his son. But which government?
I'd personally like to thank the Minister responsible, Dr. Helmut Kohl, and the West German government. I don't think he's terribly happy with the health service, and I don't think it's unique to him as a student or an ex-student. Most are the school of nursing I work in. The young ladies there are very disillusioned with it because they themselves have no jobs to go to when it's finished.
This is the Royal Hospital for Sick Children in Edinburgh. 16 of its trainee nurses have just passed their finals to be told they have no jobs.
So obviously we're upset, yes, but we've since then had another meeting to say that there will be jobs in the near future coming up, and a few of us have interviews for them, and the rest we'll just have to wait our time to see if we're going to get interviews.
I think it's a bit of an anomaly that on the one hand they want us to recruit, and on the other hand we don't have enough money to perhaps employ as many nurses as we would like.
But these trainees work in a highly specialised field and will probably find jobs eventually. What worries the Royal College is that others will not be as fortunate.
Britain's second largest teaching union, the National Association of Schoolmasters and Union of Women Teachers, is to stage a one-day strike next month. Some schools are expected to close. The strike's in protest at an 8.3% pay offer and the government's education policy.
The two Britons training to go into space with the Russians may not get the chance after all because British companies haven't contributed enough cash to see the project through. One British astronaut was to travel to the Soviets' Mir space station next spring as part of the Juno project. But so far, hardly any of the money needed has been raised. ITV today cancelled its option on the television rights. Here's our science editor, Lawrence McGuinty.
12,000 would-be astronauts phoned the Juno hotline last summer when the competition for a place on a Russian rocket was announced. 35 finalists were selected to undergo stringent medical tests. But British industry was less than enthusiastic. Despite massive media coverage of the selection of the two candidates to go to Moscow for training, not enough sponsors came forward with the hard cash to back the project.
To me, it's obvious that this area of activity involved in space technology is where the game is going to be. And everybody else seems to think that. I mean, even the Indians are now doing more than we are. Well, maybe they're all wrong and we're right, but I fear that that's not the case.
The Soviet Narodny Bank in London, which has been financing the Juno mission so far, now says it can no longer pick up the bills. The two Juno candidates will continue training in Star City near Moscow for the time being. Their reaction to today's news?
Shock, really.
I understood that the whole mission was underwritten, and for that guarantee now not to be being upheld is initially a bit of a shock.
I don't think that this is going to be a serious threat in the end, because we're still talking to Glavkosmos, which is the Soviet body who are organising the space programme.
Juno hopes those talks will find a way of continuing the mission. But it now looks like Michael Foale, currently training in Houston, will be the first British-born astronaut, but with the Americans.
Next month, the few remaining veterans of the Gallipoli campaign will revisit the battlefield for the 75th anniversary. The Australians and the New Zealanders bore the brunt of the slaughter. The British too lost thousands of men. A report in part 2. Also in Israel, the religious parties are trying to decide who they want to run the country, and the pub where Lord Linley says he was falsely accused of behaving like a lager lout. That's in a couple of minutes.
You surprised me, George. I knew you were a wizard with the souffle à l'orange, but I had no idea you were so knowledgeable about cash flows and sale forecasts and VAT. That's not what I said. George, if you're telling me you're starting your own business, that is exactly what you said. So, I want to see a bloke I know. Who? He's all right. He knows a lot about getting small businesses started, and he can lend you money if you want. And he won't get nasty if you have a bad month. Good listener, too. Who is this bloke? He runs something called an enterprise centre. Where's that? Smack in the middle of the Midland Bank.
Why the Midland?
George, if we're going to invest money in this business of yours, it would be nice to have a banker who might just help.
So you are going to put money into my business?
We're late.
Midland Enterprise. It might just help.
Come on! Hey, come on, you blokes! Let us in, will you? Oh, my foot! Hey, there's a pack of Forex in it for you.
Hold on. It's not that serious.
Australians wouldn't give a Castlemaine Forex for anything else.
Where do experienced computer professionals go to find the best jobs in computing? Visit Vacancies in Systems and Information Technology. Hotel Intercontinental, Hyde Park Corner this Friday and Saturday. See Wednesday's Daily Mail, the Computer Press, or ring 01